All right, welcome everyone to Father and Son Cap Recap. We're going to talk about the Caps versus LA game on February 16th, where the Caps won 3-1. So this was pretty much Brooks Orpik's return to the ice for the first time in
40 games.
40 games, replacing Taylor Chorney, who was with us for about 45 games this season, I think. He played really well with us. He had an almost goal that ended up being deflected in. Should have been his, but whatever. He's got 5 assists on the season. Pretty solid 7th defense for the Caps.
I don't think the game started out so well.
No, it didn't. Caps came out kind of flat, like they have been doing recently. There are a lot of penalties going both ways. It almost seemed like the Kings and the Caps were trading penalties with each other.
Yeah, we were grossly outshot. Our power play wasn't clicking at all. There were a lot of turnovers. I thought the first half of the game, Marcus Johansson was a turnover machine.
Yeah, he had a lot of turnovers. A lot of bad passes on his end.
A lot of giveaways on the power play.
A lot of giveaways on the power play. One of which ended up in a shorthanded goal against the Caps. Drew Doughty had a great diving save on that pass, and deflected straight to Anze Kopitar, who goes in and gets a 2-shot chance against Grubauer, getting his first shorthanded goal of the season. It was a pretty good looking play.
Oh yeah, Kopitar had almost no net to hit on that rebound, and he just picked the corner.
Yeah, he went over blocker side on Grubauer. You can't really fault Grubauer for that. He had a great first save. That was just a terrible breakdown. And then, not even 20 seconds later on the same power play, they had another chance at a shorthanded goal. Thankfully, this one was snubbed, but...
Yeah, the power play not off to a good start last night, but I thought it got better as the game went on.
I think so, too. Even though we were 0 for 5 on the power play at the end of the game, it looks like we're trying to get in our system better. We're setting up the half ice. I think a lot of times we just need to dish the puck to the net instead of trying to thread it to Ovi every single time. Most teams in the league have figured that out by now.
And it seemed to me as though since the All-Star break, every time the Caps have a power play, it would take them a minute and 45 just to set up the half ice.
Yeah.
The entries were horrible. They were making very poor decisions and turning the puck over. Now it looks like they're at least settling down to some degree. I'm actually surprised with the fact that the Caps are still leading the league in power play percentage as bad as it's been lately.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like for our last 30, we've gotten like maybe 1 or 2. I'm not sure about that stat off the top of my head. Yeah, so the Kings almost went up 2-0 on us near the end of the second period there, about 5 minutes left in the game. That 70s line's doing their thing, they coming in. I want to say it was King that had the shot, and Grubauer got over fast enough and was able to stop it, but that could have easily been a 2-3-0 game before we even got our first goal. Grubauer was on fire.
I think that might have been Grubauer's best game as a pro. I've never seen him play that well.
Yeah, his numbers for the Caps this season have been pretty good.
Yeah, he's played well in the past for the Caps, but last night I think was clearly his best game. 40 shots against, 1 goal.
Yeah, save percentage is .975. You can't ask for much more for a backup goalie than that. But we shouldn't have let up 40 shots to begin with.
Yeah, we have to do a better job. I mean, the quality shots last night, I think as the game went on, the Kings early on had some really good looks, but as the game went on, I think that the quality of their shots weren't what they were at the beginning of the game. I think the Caps really started to take care of the front of the net.
I agree. One thing that the Kings were doing really well was taking care of the front of their own net. You notice a lot of shots went through with minimal interference, minimal screening on our half on our behalf. It just seemed like they were outplaying us for the first 2 periods, and then, like we have done in the last 20 games, we scored a goal in the third period to take the lead, and man. Williams pretty much going against his own team there, or his old team there, digging that puck out from Jonathan Quick before he could get his pad over it with the skate.
Yeah, and he gets the puck over to Kuzi, and Kuzi ends up with no angle on his forehand. Somehow is able to draw the puck back and find an angle to hit the far post, and of course deflect that puck in to take a lead.
Yep, I don't. Was that even deflected in? I think it might have
no, it went off the inside of the pipe and in, but it didn't go in the outset. But it hit off the far pipe and went in.
Yeah, you got
right along the ice.
Some kind of special to score a goal from that angle, even if Quick wasn't in net. going left-handed on the left side like that, like pretty much at the goal line, is something else.
What I really like about the Caps the last couple of games is they've played two of the best teams in the league, and the Kings and the Dallas Stars before that. And in each game they were down, and against the Stars they were down 4-0, almost insurmountable in their barn. And they come back in the third period, they score 3 goals, and they really make it tough at the end. Almost scored the game-tying goal. Got out of there with a 4-3 loss, but then they play the Kings, give up the first goal, a shorthanded goal, every reason to get down. The team's steady, they can fight back, they can beat the best teams, and they can come from behind doing it. I think that's a good sign.
And more than half the times that we've gotten scored against first, we've come back and won the game. I want to say our record is about like 12-10-1 or something like that. I don't have the stat off the top of my head.
Now, another little interesting tidbit. Evgeny Kuznetsov is 5th in the league in scoring.
Yes.
He's got 57 points in 55 games. That's a pace for 85 points this year. And he's on pace for 24 goals. I think he can get 25. He shoots the puck a few more. He can even exceed that. This kid's going to be unbelievable in the years to come, but I'm really liking what he's doing now.
And I think that's one thing that he really needs to work on is taking the shot instead of going for that pass. Earlier on in the game, he's going in pretty much 1-0 against Quick. Cuts to the left and tries to pass it back to Burra, and the Caps, it was a good looking play, but you could have had a good scoring chance, and you end up having not even a shot on net.
I agree, and I think that when guys like Kuznetsov and Backstrom start shooting the puck, it makes this team a lot better because it keeps the other team guessing. They don't know. Right now, they can play the pass, confident that these guys, 9 times out of 10, are going to pass the puck. These guys start shooting the puck, it's going to keep everybody guessing, and the goaltenders are going to have to stay honest. They're not going to be able to cheat over for the pass, and I just think that this team's going to get a lot better when some of those guys start shooting the puck.
I agree. And one of those players that has started shooting the puck but has gotten smarter with it is Andrei Burakovsky.
Absolutely.
Comes off with a 2-point night against the Kings. He's got pretty much about a point a game for the last 12 or 13 games. He had that point streak going. He's developing as a player. You wouldn't have guessed it last season based on his style of play, but he's still young. He just turned 21. He's still getting adjusted to the league, and it looks like he's finally starting to get comfortable with the team that he's working with.
Yeah, and last night as that game went on, Jonathan Quick was, let's face it, he's a really good goaltender. He's one of the best in the league. And he was dialed in last night, and the one thing I kept thinking, they got to go to a redirect, and how about Orlov with that slap pass? I mean, he just dialed it in, and he hit the stick
something else
right on the tape and in. And I don't care if you're Jonathan Quick, Henrik Lundqvist, Carey Price. Doesn't matter who you are, you're not going to stop that.
Yeah, and Orpik getting a point on his first game back, that's something else.
Oh, that
too.
was sweet.
That was nice. Getting that pass to Orlov. Orlov taking the slap pass to Burr, who's right in front of the net. Quick has no idea what's going on.
Yes.
Orlov's a really skilled player, too. He's real good with his hands. He knows how to get those slap passes on the tape of his teammates. So
here we are. Now we're, let's see, it's 12 days from the trade deadline. And, you get Orpik back. Beagle's getting closer to practicing with the team. I'll be honest with you. If I'm Brian McClellan, I don't make a move. No. I think that the trade the player acquisition you made is getting a healthy Brooks Orpik back and getting a healthy Jay Beagle back. This team's deep. They added Richards during the year, and Richards is going to get some pretty serious minutes with them in some good situations. He's really good on the penalty kill. I really can't see them giving up anything to try to acquire an impact player. There's a lot of talk about Dan Hamhuis, although I did see an article the other day where it looks like Pittsburgh is making a run for him. Dan Hamhuis is a good defenseman. He's 33 years old, but I don't see what he adds to this blue line that we don't already have with Brooks Orpik back. Taylor Chorney's been great. He's very serviceable back there, and I think he's a guy that can step in and play effectively, even in the playoffs. And he did so for Pittsburgh, you'll recall, when he played for them. I just think this team and its depth right now and the chemistry they have going, I really don't want to mess with it. If I'm Brian McClellan, I just kind of leave it alone.
We're on pace for one of the best records ever. Definitely the best record in our franchise history. We've got, for the first time, one of the deepest blue lines in the league, and that's pretty much thanks to Brian McClellan coming in and stepping up and doing what George Maffei couldn't do. I agree. You don't make any moves.
Yeah, and back in 2010 when we won the President's Trophy, the team was playing well. Don't get me wrong. but they were playing one way. They were very offensive oriented. They really didn't take care of their own end like they are now. This team, with the defense they have and the goaltending, Braden Holtby is just fantastic this year. Certainly a Vezina favorite. With this defense in front of them, I think is built for the playoffs. It's built for a playoff run. They're very deep. They've got very few weaknesses. And let this, a healthy Orpik and a healthy Beagle come back and let this team play together leading into the playoffs. I think part of the problem is we had big gaps between games. We had the All-Star break. There was a lot of time off.
2 games that were snowed out. 1 game in a span of 13 days, which I know some teams have had to deal with that due to the issue with scheduling this year and how they changed up how they did that. But it's one of those things every team has to deal with eventually. It's adversity. It happens. But I don't know. I mean, for the first time, I'm actually feeling very confident about the playoffs, regardless of who we match up against.
But being from Washington, we can't get too confident.
Exactly.
We know the disappointment and the pain and the heartache that we go through every spring. But at some point in time, it's going to happen, and this team is built for that. So, we still have the end of the season coming up. We've got a lot of important games. A little bit of a homestand, then we go on the road. We're at the Isle tomorrow, and then we come home for 3 straight, and then we're on the road. It's going to be an interesting run here.
And we, like you were saying earlier, defensively we're doing fantastic. We're taking care of the front of our own net a lot better than we have been before. We've got 2 solid goalies. I'm not uncomfortable with either of them for the first time in a long time also. But we also have the best goal differential in the league. We're almost averaging +1 per game, which is incredible. We've got the second most goals for behind the Dallas Stars, and we've got the least goals against. And, granted, because of those 2 missed games, we have the fewest games played down there with, I can't even think of other teams, but, we've got games in hand on the leaders.
We've got games in hand on all the leaders. The one that's probably closest to us is Dallas, but I'll tell you, it's that second stat. It's the goals against that's the most important. As things tighten up in the playoffs, it's defense that wins. And I'll say it again, with this defense and this goaltending, I think you've got a real shot at it this year. And this team, you've got guys like Evgeny Kuznetsov, who actually last year in the playoffs stepped up. He was one of the best forwards on the team last year. His second year in the third year in the NHL. This is shaping up to be something that's going to be very, very interesting in the spring.